Something deeply troubling has unfolded in South Africa, sending shockwaves through the nation and its law enforcement community. In the early hours of the morning, the country woke to devastating news. A senior police commander, one of the most powerful and experienced figures in the security establishment, was shot during an operation and left fighting for his life in hospital. The attack was sudden, violent, and terrifying, unfolding so quickly that even hardened police officers were left shaken by what they witnessed. Those who saw the aftermath described scenes of chaos, confusion, and fear, with the gravity of the moment hanging heavily in the air. This was not just another shooting in a country already grappling with high levels of violent crime. It was an assault on the very heart of law enforcement, raising serious questions about safety, intelligence, and the growing boldness of criminal networks. According to initial information released by police, the shooting occurred during an active operation in an area known for persistent and dangerous criminal activity. Officers had moved in to arrest individuals suspected of involvement in serious violent crimes. What was expected to be a controlled and strategic operation quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Almost immediately after the officers took up their positions, gunmen who had been lying in wait opened fire, without warning. The attack was intense and relentless, with a barrage of bullets raining down on the police team. There was no opportunity to retreat or reassess. Within seconds, officers were forced into a desperate fight for survival. The element of surprise was devastating, and the sheer volume of gunfire made it clear that this was no random encounter. As shots echoed through the area, officers scrambled for cover, returning fire in an attempt to protect themselves and contain the attackers. Amid the chaos, the senior commander was struck and collapsed, seriously wounded. In that moment, the operation turned into a race against time. The officers on the ground now face two critical challenges simultaneously: continuing to defend themselves against the ongoing attack and getting the injured commander out of the danger zone before it was too late. Witnesses later described seeing police officers physically carrying the wounded commander to safety while gunfire continued around them as sirens from reinforcements and ambulances filled the air. The intensity of the scene left residents nearby traumatized, many saying they had never seen or heard anything so frightening. The fact that such a high-ranking and well-known police figure could be targeted in this way has sent a chilling message across the country. South Africans are struggling to come to terms with what this incident represents. This officer was not just another member of the police force. He was a symbol of authority, security, and the state's fight against organized crime. His role placed him at the forefront of major investigations, many of which involved powerful criminal syndicates and sensitive cases that cut deep into networks of corruption and violence. For many, the attack feels deliberate, calculated, and symbolic, as if it were meant not only to silence one individual, but to intimidate the entire law enforcement system. Within police ranks, the sense of shock runs deep. Officers across the country have expressed anger, fear, and sorrow, describing the shooting as an attack on the badge itself. To them, this was not just an attempt on one man's life, but a message directed at every officer who wears a uniform and stands against crime. Many are asking how criminals could have known so much about the operation, how they were able to prepare such an ambush, and what failures in intelligence or security may have allowed this to happen. These questions are weighing heavily on a police service already under immense pressure, stretched thin by crime, limited resources, and public scrutiny. Public reaction has been swift and emotional. Social media platforms have been flooded with messages of outrage, fear, and exhaustion. South Africans are expressing a deep sense of unease, saying that if a senior police commander can be shot during an official operation, then ordinary citizens are even more vulnerable. In communities already plagued by crime, this incident has reinforced the feeling that the balance of power is shifting dangerously in favor of criminal groups. People are worried that these syndicates no longer fear the police, a reality that poses a serious threat to the rule of law and public safety. Security experts and analysts have echoed these concerns, warning that the attack signals a dangerous escalation. They argue that criminal groups are becoming increasingly audacious, willing to confront the state directly and violently. This, they say, reflects not only the strength and organization of these syndicates, but also potential weaknesses within the country's security and intelligence structures. The perception that criminals can plan and execute such attacks with confidence is deeply alarming and suggests that urgent reforms may be needed to restore deterrence and authority. As the wounded commander remains in hospital fighting for his life, the nation waits anxiously for updates on his condition. Medical teams are doing everything possible, but details remain limited, adding to the tension and uncertainty. At the same time, investigators have descended on the crime scene, working tirelessly to piece together what happened. Forensic experts are analyzing ballistic evidence, mapping trajectories, and examining every detail that might reveal how the attackers planned and carried out the assault. Witnesses are being interviewed and intelligence units are working around the clock to identify suspects and uncover potential links to organized crime networks. There is growing speculation that the timing of the attack is no coincidence. Insiders and analysts note that the commander was involved in sensitive investigations that may have threatened powerful interests. This has fueled fears that the shooting was a targeted hit designed to disrupt or derail ongoing cases. While police have not confirmed these suspicions, they have acknowledged that all possibilities are being explored. The coming days are expected to be critical in determining whether this was the act of a single group acting independently or part of a broader strategy to intimidate law enforcement and undermine justice. The political response has been intense, with mounting pressure on government leaders to act decisively. Citizens are demanding clear answers and concrete action to protect police officers, especially those in leadership positions. Questions are being raised about existing security protocols, the adequacy of protective measures, and whether intelligence failures played a role. Critics argue that the police are too often reactive, responding to violence after it occurs rather than preventing it through effective intelligence-led operations. Others point to the need for better resources, training, and equipment to ensure officers are not outgunned by criminal elements. Leadership accountability has also come under the spotlight. Many South Africans believe that political interference has weakened the police service over time, eroding its independence and effectiveness. There are renewed calls to shield law enforcement from political pressure and to empower professionals to do their jobs without fear or favor. At the same time, there is widespread agreement that organized crime must be confronted with renewed urgency, coordination, and resolve. For many, this shooting feels like a turning point, a stark warning that the country's security situation is deteriorating. It has forced South Africans to confront uncomfortable questions about safety, justice, and the future of policing. The attack underscores the high stakes of the ongoing battle between the state and criminal syndicates, a battle that is becoming increasingly dangerous for those on the front lines. As investigations continue and the nation awaits news of the commander's recovery, there is a shared sense that what happens next will matter greatly. The decisions made by leaders, the support given to police, and the willingness of society to confront crime collectively will shape the future of safety in South Africa. This incident is not just another headline. It is a moment of reckoning that highlights the urgent need for action, reform, and unity in the face of a growing threat. The country watches closely, hoping for the officer's recovery and for answers that may help prevent such a tragedy from happening again.